Hello, everybody. This is Jacqueline Best and Beloved here with you from Best Whole New World, and we are talking about Journey to Awakening. Dun 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 dun. Dun. We need some intro music.
We should play the hop along cast and everything. Diddly 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 diddly. Look out overture. Awesome. Hey everybody.
It's the new moon coming in Libra, and that's probably why we're just feeling all this new, wonderful sense of possibility and joy.
I think that's true. You're Libra, I'm Libra rising, and it's our moon tomorrow, which is absolutely incredible. Great energies, great vibes coming in. Yeah.
So Libra, right, is the scales, because that's, my birth sign. And so does that mean where the moon is going to make us all in balance?
Well, here's the thing. When Luna wears her Libra garments, then she's bringing in balance and inviting us to do that, but also beauty, because the ruling sign, that's it. The ruling sign of Libra is beauty. So, I mean, it's Venus. And Venus.
I was like,
it is.
Beauty.
Well, that is, we have new
Same thing.
now. We have a new ruling sign. It's called beauty. Venus.
Well, look at us.
I know, we are. But yes, it's those vibrations. It's also, new moon is new beginnings. And it's about birthing, it's about creating. So having that in Libra, which is balance and harmony. So yeah, it works really, really well together. And the archangel, because I know a lot of people right now are saying, yeah, harmony, balance. Okay, how do I do that? But one of the things
Second, I'll stand on my head for you.
There you go. Hey, if you don't have time for a 5-minute breath session, or you don't have time for your yoga or journaling, whatever you do, call on Archangel Jophiel, because Jophiel is actually I have Jophiel right here.
There you go.
Oh, Jophiel is the archangel for Libra. And you can call on Jophiel to help you bring more balance and help you bring more harmony into your life. And you can do that anytime, but it's really nice when we talk so much about energy here. Mm-hmm. So it's really nice to have that energetic coherence when you're working with a particular vibration, like the new moon, and knowing what sign it's in, like Libra. And then for that extra boost, work with the archangel.
So how do we spell see, you're saying jovial, and I'm thinking jovial like...
Oh, Jophiel.
So how do you spell it?
It's Jophiel.
Okay, like Raphael, Jophi. Okay, there you go. That Fiel. Okay, that part of the Fiel. Okay, because I was.
Do you know that all the angels are El except for 2 of them, Sandalphon and Metatron? Because Sandalphon and Metatron were 2 angels that were actually embodied in human form at one time.
Right.
So yes. They end in On. All the rest of them are El, of God.
Yeah, well, you just said something there that
I felt it.
Yeah. So, but Sandaltron? I haven't heard Sandaltron. No, Metatron.
Sandalphon.
Sandalphon. So is it like a P-H-O-N or F-A-W-N?
No, it's S-A-N-D-A-L. Sandalphon. P-H-O-N.
Because it's all Greek or Latin, right? That's why we have the PHs and the... Okay.
And Metatron.
Cool. I feel like I've met them in body form.
Oh, yes. One was Ezekiel and one was Elijah. So,
Yeah, no, I think they've been here more recently.
oh, yes. It's
I just,
interesting how the angels, come in. People will always ask me about angels, and they'll say things like, well, I've never seen an angel. How come I, I've never seen one? Sometimes people do. And when they come in, they'll come in um, if they're called, if they're needed. Because, angels, we have free will, and angels can't come in unless you ask. But so many times when people are in trauma, they'll ask, God help me. Oh my God, or help, help, help. And then angels will come in. And it's really interesting, some of the stories, like I'm sure you've heard these stories where someone has been stranded on the road,
mhm.
maybe a tire or something in a wreck or a truck pulls up and helps them. And there's a sign on the truck, a garage sign, the whole thing. And then they leave and the person goes on their way. But then they want to find this garage and thank them. And there is no garage. So they come in. I had an experience. I've seen angels only 3 times. As long as I've worked with them, I've only seen 3 times. And one of them was on the I call my angels in all the time.
Mhm.
And I I get into these time warps. Do you ever do that?
Yeah.
Where yeah, I mean it's like so I was out of town about an hour away, hour and a half away from my office,
Uh-huh.
and I had a client coming at 3, and I'm an hour and a half away and it's 2:30.
Right.
So okay, yeah, yeah, right. Okay, I can't be late. I can't be late. I can't be late. So I have this thing. I get in I call my car my chariot, and I
Right.
get in and I ask for warp speed,
Yeah.
warp speed, right?
Right.
And I also surround my car and I'll dome it and I'll say, okay, hide my vehicle unless it's for safety, you know.
Mhm.
And there was a vehicle in front of me who was like my guide and just stayed there in front of me, the same car. And I was not speeding. By the way, when I say warp speed, I'm not talking about speed on the speedometer.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So this vehicle, it was a woman driving, it was a white vehicle, and she stayed in front of me the entire time, would not let anyone come in between us.
Mhm.
I get off on my exit and I make it to my office with 10 minutes to spare. So that was an amazing angel, to do that. And that was an angel in human form. It's just very, very cool. But they do come in.
Oh, well, absolutely. And as we talk about the multidimensionality of the universe, right?
Mhm.
And time and space and everything is all happening now. So I feel like each of us perceives it, how it works to our advantage. So, for many, like once upon a time, it was about having God as a man and, that could grant them the power to do something and it would all work. And then that necessarily didn't work anymore for that person or, even
Mhm.
for me. And then it was that idea, okay, so it's everywhere. So for me, like when you talk about, do you have 5 minutes to breathe? It's like we're breathing that's all we're doing is breathing. So it's, it's it's not finding the time, it's being aware of what you're actually experiencing, which is your
Yeah.
breath, right? And
Yes,
for me, that idea of the air or is like God, is the universe because I don't see it, but it's all there and it affects me every moment of my day.
absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I've been a past life regressionist. I did my first past life regression in 1972, I think. I I had done Silva Mind,
Hmm.
and
Yep. Oh, yeah.
a few of us would get together and we would do things. And I had just read a book called The Christos Experiment, and it was about regressing.
Hmm.
So I was telling people, and they said, "Can you do that?" And I said, "I don't know. Let's try."
Yeah.
So I did. I just used what they did in the Christos
Right.
experiment. And then I did go back and receive my training from Brian Weiss. But it's so interesting because we think of those as past lives. And then people would say, well, can you take me to the future? Future lives, right? And my understanding of time is it's all simultaneous.
Yeah.
It's where, like you said, awareness, where are we focusing right now?
Mhm.
And I think it was Richard Feynman. Have you ever read his explanation of time? It's so cool. This is what I used to explain to my clients
Okay.
when they were coming in. You know, okay, it's all simultaneous, but look at this. Okay, you're on the highway
Hmm.
and you are in a blue car.
Hmm.
And that's your now. That's your present. Okay. Now, in the lane next to you, a few cars up, is a red car.
Huh?
And that red car is your future.
Right.
Now, behind you, there's a yellow car. And that yellow car is your past.
Hmm.
But you're all on the same road. You're all there at the same time. So if you were to take that snapshot, you would see the red car, the blue car, and the yellow car. It's all here. But if I'm driving, I have to focus my attention in my blue car.
Right.
But it's all the same time. I mean, it's all here. It's
I like
all.
I like that because I used to say to my kids when they were younger, I would say, life is like you're the act, you're the person, like you're playing destiny or faith. So you're playing destiny or faith in this life, except if you go to the TV station right now, you're on channel 2 and you're in that role. But if you flick to channel 3, you're playing that role. And you flick to channel 4, you're in that role. And so you could be like Meryl Streep, right? And great, great in everyone, you know, in every single station. And that's all happening at the same time. But right now, you're only on channel 2. So your experience is channel 2, but you're actually having all these other things going on at the same time. And, you know, when you talk about past lives, I didn't do Brian's work, but I also became, I went through a year-long certification process on that past life regression without hypnosis. And one of the experiences I had, and I say to people, this is for me, was I went back to Atlantis, or so-called back to Atlantis, right? And I did this on 2 separate occasions. And in both those occasions, I had friends, 2 different friends in Vancouver. So I was in Toronto and they were in Vancouver. They didn't know each other. The one day as I left the office of doing this and I came home, boom, one phoned me, then the next phoned me. And it wasn't like we talked all the time, right? It was just like, and I thought, yeah, that's a coincidence, right? You know, but cool. And then the next time they both arrived, they both flew in unbeknownst to me into Toronto at that same time. And I was like, okay, so something's going on here because I'm the one that's so-called having this memory of a past life in Atlantis, yet they're still showing up spontaneously in my life here in the blue car on the highway, right? And this was like, you know, the idea, I was just sharing with this idea that people feel that they think things and they know things about what's really going on is just beyond me because we are like so microscopically tiny in the scope of the universe. So it's not you and I, Beloved and Jacqueline. It's what moves through us and what we're attuned to that flows through us, that's communicating. You know, we're just the vessels.
Absolutely we are. And that's what's so exciting, I think, is is having these perceptions, and everyone has perceptions like this if they'll allow it.
Hmm.
You know, if they'll just allow that, like talking about coincidences. Well, you know, there's no such thing as coincidence. They're all synchronicities.
Right.
So even though you were in a regression in Atlantis, right,
Mhm.
you were still reacting with this because it's all the same. It's all the same. I have this great phrase, and I talk about jumping timelines. You know, I jump timelines from
Right.
one time to another. Well, it's a way of being able to consciously move about the dimensions.
Perfect.
And we use our language. Our language is three-dimensional language. But
Yeah.
how could it not be? Like time, the time of the clock
Yeah.
and the calendars, I think those are agreements that we make as a culture so that we can live together. I mean, it would be kind of crazy if I said, okay, so Jacqueline, I'll meet you for tea, you know, at the tea house.
Mhm.
When? I don't know. I'll be there. Now, you're really in tune, that could happen, right?
Yeah, right, right. Well, that would be like, oh, now.
That's it. That's it. But it makes it so much smoother if I say, Jacqueline, how about meeting at 3 at the tea house? You know, oh yeah, that's an agreement we've made.
Right.
It's an agreement of time. It's like following the moons and honoring the
Mhm.
moons with this new moon coming up.
Mhm.
Okay, and it comes up tomorrow, and it's the new moon in Libra, as we said before. And so, if we acclimate ourselves, attune ourselves
Mhm.
to those energies, then we have more umph to get things done. It's like, okay, new moon is about birthing, is about creating, is about starting things, is about all of those things, beginnings. Well, if I have something that I want to finish and I'm finishing it, then I can still do it, but perhaps it would be easier if I align that with the full moon. Perhaps the new moon with Luna is offering us all of this energy. And if I'm aware of that, then I can say, oh, wow, this would be a great time to start this. This would be a great time because I have all the energy backing me up. I'm in the flow, you know, I'm in the rhythm of the universe.
Yeah.
And so why not live that way and become aware of that? For me, it works really, really well.
Yeah, and it makes it's like so crystal clear to me, right? And the analogy I it just came up with me um for those that are kind of like, huh, is like if in the States there's been the hurricanes that have happened, in Canada we're moving into, or in even in Europe they're going to start to move into winter. So if there is a blizzard or a hurricane warning or tornado warning, right, and you decide that you want to stay in that situation, right?
Yeah.
You're going against if the sense is you're being warned to move. So in this, the new moon is that same idea. The new moon is coming. It's this energy of saying it's a new beginning. It's we're going to support you, and you can go with it or you can ignore it.
That's it. Either way. And it's that old thing of going against the grain or going
With it.
with the flow. Yeah. And we're so lucky that we have the information. You know, I would like to, um, since we're talking about energies and beginnings, and I would like to play a little flute.
I would love it.
Just invite people,
Mm-hmm.
if they would like to, if you're not driving, to close your eyes and just come into your heart space and see what's there for you right now. What's a dream that you have? What is a vision? What's something that you would like to start now, or that you would like to birth in this cycle? And just be in that space for a few moments and see what's there for you. And we'll play a little flute.
And just before you do, it's so cool because there's two things I realized now as you just said that. So one, it starts tonight that I'm birthing this whole other global project thing. And another one I started on Monday, which is part of the phase. But I hadn't been thinking that way, right? It wasn't like I was thinking, but as you said that, I just was like, huh, it's the feeling. See, for me, it was just this feeling it was time to do that. And even my 10-day trusting your inner guidance, that started on Monday. It was like, it's time for people to learn how to do this. So that's 3. That's cool. I got 3 new things that are happening, and probably all having to do with my new sense of freedom at 55. Yay. Okay.
That's so awesome.
Okay,
And
now.
of course, we're the time portals are 3 days up, the day of lunation, and 3 days down, when we have that specific energy that's there supporting. So yeah, you were in perfect timing, sister. So just take a moment and close your eyes. And now just take a moment and just be aware. Be aware of your feelings, of your body. And when you're ready, take a nice deep breath. Open your eyes and return your entire being into presence, into awareness. Welcome back.
When did you first start playing the flute?
I don't know. I think it was about 10 or maybe 10 years ago. I was at a conference.
Mm-hmm.
I played flute before I played crystal sound, crystal bowls. And that's been 10 years. So it's before that. I was at a New Age conference, retailers conference in Colorado, in Denver. And there was a presenter there. You know, for those of us that have booths and things, we have dinners and that sort of thing, gatherings. And there was a presenter from a flute company and was talking about flutes. And I had never thought about it ever. But it was so nice. And then she had a variety of flutes that we could try. And I picked it up and I was just able to do it. And then I have a friend in Asheville who's a flute maker, Wind Motika. And I really wanted a bamboo flute. It had really been on my mind to have a bamboo flute. And I have like 6 or 7 flutes. So he brought my flute. I have a couple of them from him. And when he brought it, I just loved it. But I said, oh, Wind, I love this. And I love the way you sculpted the bottom. And he looked at me and said, you do know that's a bamboo root, right? So I had this experience in China. I carry my flute everywhere. Even when I travel, my flute is always with me. And I was in China and I wanted to just give back to people. And I was hiking and I would hide where no one could see me. And when I would see a Sherpa coming, and they're carrying all of these heavy things, I would flute. And just, it was just my way of offering something. And at one point, 2 Sherpas came and they were carrying a seat with a woman in it. And I was playing flute, and I play for a long time, and they stood there the whole time. And then they looked and they saw me, and it was so nice. We just really connected, and I hope it eased their way.
I'm sure it did.
It was amazing.
It's that music is that vibration, right? That it travels faster than our words. So sending that out is so much more powerful on so many different levels than just sending love or saying, I hope your day goes well.
I know. Ariel says that I'm tuned to the heart, and that when they really like me speaking or giving things or playing flute, because then that vibration goes out. And that's very humbling to me, but it seems to be, because those are the comments that people make. I end all of my concerts with flute, and this flute in particular. So yeah, it's just so nice, and it's the tones and the breath. And if I play with intention and with focus, then that's going out too. But it's and that's how I bring people back from shavasana. Also, I teach yoga and I teach qigong.
Okay.
And we always have shavasana afterwards, and shavasana is when you lie down. And the yogis say that the whole practice of movement is done to let go. So all of yoga happens not in the poses, not in asana, but yoga happens in shavasana. In shavasana, where all the gathering and all the integration and all the coherence takes place from all dimensions. But that's really where it happens, is in that quiet space. So when I do shavasana, I start with the bowls. So it has all of that crystal sound. And then I'm quiet. And then people are just there. And then they come back to flute. It's really powerful.
So for me, it's the first time I've heard that expression because so are you saying that after you finish doing the poses, you're finishing with the flute and the crystal bowls and Shavasana is like this presence of,
Shavasana is corpse pose. That's when you lie down.
okay.
At the end of yoga practice, you go into corpse pose.
Okay, because I'm like, you're lying down. To me, you're lying down, but we're gonna call it. Okay. You got names for it. It's called the corpse pose, or it's called Shavasana, and it's like that's what I was like. I think that's what she said. We're lying down, but it's got a fancy name for it.
Yes, you're lying down, and the name of that pose, that really is a pose, actually. It's called
pose. Yeah.
Or in English, it's called corpse pose because you really are just lying, with your, that's just what you're doing. You're lying.
How many corpses do you see lying like this?
That's it. That's it.
I would just, if your arms are out to me, like this is like it's like standing outside, right? And you open up and you just go, yes, universe. It's opening this chest area in the sense of, allowing the universe and every part of you to resonate with you. Okay. So that's yes, that's very cute. Okay. What? Because it's like, I think that's what she said, but it sounds a lot fancier. Say it for me one more time.
What?
Shavasana. Oh, Shavasana. Oh, it's just the technology. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I thought you were saying Shabasta with a B and a, like it was like, I was like, no, I don't know. I've never heard that one. Okay.
Shavasana.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, because all the poses are anas, right?
Right.
At the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, Shavasana. Yes. It's about having, now there again, okay, we're talking about presence, we're talking about timing. Mm-hmm. And I like to use the phrase, the time out of time, And so if people would gift themselves Shavasana, and you don't have to do yoga. I do it, like I said, I may be the only Qigong teacher that after we do our Qigong and after we do our forms, you're in Shavasana and you're on the floor and you're lying down, and it's about receiving, which is what you were saying, right? Opening up.
Yeah.
And I think people don't give themselves the space to do that. We have busy lives. When I first was with my my husband, who's off planet, he's been off planet for years, but when we were first together, I have a morning practice. So I would get out of bed and I would do my yoga practice. And by the time he awakened, I was in Shavasana. And after about a week of this, he said to me, I notice that every morning when I get up, you are sleeping on the floor. Is it something I've done? Is it? He knew nothing about yoga, right? That was like 40 years ago.
Right.
Is it have I offended you in some way that you get out of our perfectly good bed and you lay on the floor to sleep? So then I explained the whole, Shavasana thing to him, and that I had really done an hour of yoga first. He said, oh. And it's funny, he slept through that whole thing. Right. Like he never heard my practice. He just saw me on the floor. So yeah. So it's about giving ourselves time. So maybe new moon
time
would be a great time to start doing that. Gift yourself with time, with Shavasana, and just be. It's so interesting, when you just are. Allow yourself 10 minutes to lie down and be in that space of lying on the floor. And you can put music on that you like. and just be there. It's really lovely.
Yeah. Well, that idea that there isn't enough time, right? It's to me, it demonstrates how completely removed from connected. Because if you are limiting yourself with your time, with all the time that's in the day, that you don't think you can take 5 minutes, like that's really how limited your whole perception is of the whole experience, because you can't even find 5 minutes. There's no, like, you're completely disconnected from what's true, because when you're present, as you were talking about driving, right? I've had those experiences the same. It's just like time stands still, because time stands still. You're going, if you looked at the clock and you're saying, I swear an hour's gone by, but the clock has only gone 5 minutes. And when you're in that space, you are guided in the right place at the right time. So there isn't lineups, or you are connecting with that person, or the traffic just goes. I remember leaving my house in Toronto to get to the airport, which is normally like it's like a half-hour drive to 40 minutes with zero traffic, and going, oh my gosh, I'm in rush hour traffic. So it's like, okay, tune in. What's the best way to go? So my mind would be saying, take this highway, take that way, but it was like, I had the most absurd directions to get there. And I would tap in, and it literally was like the experience. And this is why I want people to have their own experiences, because then they convince themselves. We can talk all we want that we've seen these things and done these things. But if someone else hasn't had the experience, it means nothing. But it was like you were describing with the white car ahead of you. There wasn't a white car ahead of me, but it just felt like there was this light going ahead saying, okay, all the lights are green and there's no traffic. So what a typical road, which should have just jam-packed, it was like there was nobody there, and every light was green. And then I got directed to take this other route that I've never gone that way ever to the airport. I never have ever gone since. But that particular day, I got right to the airport, and the people that I was meeting came right out. Like, it was like, just like the movie.
Yeah.
Here we are. Chariot awaits.
Yeah.
So give yourself, if open your perspective. If you think you can't find 5 minutes to lie down on the ground and open up. It's so important. Weren't we talking about this last week about being grounded and getting on the ground, being in the grass, in the sand, really allowing yourself to be present to the ground and feeling the above and connecting and being in that space?
Yes, absolutely. We keep ourselves busy, many of us. When I work with someone, I have them, when they tell me they don't have time, I have them in their planner make an appointment with themselves. And my thing is, hey, you wouldn't break an appointment with a client or a patient. So schedule it for yourself. Put yourself in your planner, and no fear breaking it.
Right.
Yes. I mean, I see, and myself included, I fritter away time. And sometimes when I'm doing that, and I'll see, an hour's gone by. I'm a great reader and researcher and that sort of thing. And I'll say, oh my goodness, an hour. I just spent an hour of my life doing this. Stop now. Just stop it. Conversation we had before.
Just stop it, says Bob. Yes, just stop it.
Just stop it. So I think that most people do that. And many people have this mindset of busy. And if we could get back to that natural presence, to our natural rhythms, time opens up and space opens up.
And so my intention is that they actually got to the end of this video and they had enough time. learn how to take 5 minutes for themselves, but I just realized.
You had it? That'll go on the front. That's the way we open. It seems like it's the end. Let's start again.
I'll see if I can clip this part. I love you, beloved. This is always so much fun.
Thank you.
I will do my best to see if I can clip and take a portion of it, and then we'll only have 5 minutes.
There you go. But they'll be very, very important 5 minutes.
That's it.
Awesome.
Have a beautiful day.
Have a wonderful new moon, everybody. Bye-bye.
Oh, and if you want more information on the new moon, you're going to put the link below.
Yes.
But start with 5, not 10. 5.
That's right. 5.